No, not that. Oh, no, not that. No, no. Oh, this is a bit I always struggle. There we go. It's always a bit temperamental. Hello. Anyway, welcome to another Instagram Live. Well, I did plan to do one tonight, but I've had a few technical issues with the video. It's pretty much all been done. I've just got to film my segments. There's some sound that there's no sound to start with, and then it comes back. It's a bit weird. Anyway, hello. My name is Will. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, Tube Mixer, I mean, either will do because this will be going to YouTube. So today is partially a review of Disney's Disenchanted, which I watched in the early hours of this morning. And just, I guess, another update, and also I'll be paying tribute to, little tribute to Dame Angela Lansbury as well, who recently passed away, of course known for Beauty and the Beast, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, and Murder, She Wrote, to name just a few. So that's coming as well. So how are you all? So I watched Disenchanted this morning. 15 years since the first Enchanted film, if you remember. Giselle, played by Amy Adams, basically starts off in Andalusia as, a typical animated Disney princess. And then she gets pushed down a well to the live-action world of New York. So, unlike Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Mary Poppins, so dear to my heart, yes, Song of the South. I know it's a dodgy film, but it is in the history book. It is part of the live action and animated, so we can't really ignore it from the canon. And many films that blend. Sorry, I thought I heard something. Sorry, I'll continue on. Live action actors with animated characters. Enchanted flipped it on its head and started live action and then live action, as opposed to combining them. And it was really a Disney princess film taking the mick out of Disney princess films and the classic tropes. So, for example, Dame Julie Andrews from The Princess Diaries, and of course, Mary Poppins was the narrator. Jodie Benson, who played Ariel, has a cameo as one of Robert Patrick Dempsey's workers. Idina Menzel, who, this was before Frozen, really, so unless you were a musicals nerd, she wasn't really that well known. Fast forward 15 years later, and after Frozen, Idina Menzel, nearly everyone knows her name now. She has become a really big star of not just the musicals, but film and television as well. So, Disenchanted starts. Well, it's told we open up to Andalusia, and we see Pip, now voiced by Griffin Newman, so not director Kevin Limer. Oh no, Jeff Bennett in the animated world does his sort of little squeak things, while Kevin Limer, the director of the first film, when Pip was in New York, voiced him. Not this time. Would it be a bit weird to bring Kevin back when he wasn't directing? Because Kevin Limer isn't really an actor. He has acted in a few things, but it's because he's been directing it. It's probably to save money. But he wouldn't be hired, especially as an actor. And talking of directors, so it's not Kevin this time, it is Adam Shankman, who directed the 2007 film of Hairspray, the musical, Into the a film adaptation of Hairspray the musical, because of course it was the Hairspray, the 1988 film, with Divine and John Walters and I think Debbie Harry as well, but wasn't a musical. But Adam Shank directed the 2007 film starring Zac Efron, Christopher Walken, and James Marsden, funnily enough, who of course plays Prince Edward in the original Enchanted, and he returns for Disenchanted, but it's a smaller role this time, possibly because he was busy with the Sonic movies. James Marsden seems to be your go-to man for when you have live action and CGI elements together. He starred alongside starred in Hop. I don't know if you've seen that. Russell Brand is E.B. The Easter Bunny. That's an interesting film. And also he's as I mentioned, the Sonic movies. So his go-to with that. He's also been in Anchorman as well, and Hairspray, as I mentioned. So very popular actor, clearly someone who does comedy very well, someone who can sing very well. He's pretty much the perfect person. Now, Idina Menzel didn't get a song to sing in the original Enchanted, or she did, but it got cut. Well, this time she gets to sing a couple of times. We have Love Power, that's her big ballad, and then she sings a song with Edward, James Marsden. Alan Menken and Stephen Schwartz, who wrote the songs for the first film, are back. Alan Menken, of course, is, really a modern Disney legend, isn't he? Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, The Little Mermaid, Tangled, and of course the original Enchanted. Oh, David, good for you to join. I'll just wave to you. Oh, I can't wave. There we go. And Stephen Schwartz, known for Godspell and Pippin, I think, and Wicked, starring as certain Idina Menzel. So together, the two of them, you'd think, would be a perfect pair, really. Most of the songs are actually forgettable, generally. There was one that I quite liked, and that was the musical number Badder, sung by Amy Adams as Giselle when she's turned evil, alongside Maya Rudolph's Malvina. Not sure if I pronounced it right, but it kind of reminded me of the Mission Impossible theme, or score from a Bond film, or Austin Powers even. That was interesting. Or something that'd be on one of those cocktail jazz albums. And I liked that a lot. Rachel Covey, who played Giselle's daughter Morgan in the original film, doesn't return as Morgan, but has a cameo as one of the residents of Monroeville, when it's transformed into a fairy tale town. So I know I'm going a bit weird. So the basic plot is Giselle and Robert are moving. Giselle sort of is disillusioned with the life in New York City. It's not quite working for them now. And they're moving to a place called Monroeville. And it's run by Malvina, as I said, who's the mayor. So she's not an actual evil queen to start with. She's not very nice, but she's not actually a queen with magic powers. That comes later. So that's the interesting part. Now, Giselle is given a wishing wand from Edward and Nancy, which is... put my tape back in, which is Idina Menzel's character. And they give her the wishing wand to to make a wish to solve her problems. And she does do that, and she thinks the spell doesn't work, but it turns out it does work. And the next morning, she awakes as a fairy tale character, unfortunately turning into, or gradually, a wicked stepmother, which we actually have some very good comedy. I don't remember the first Enchanted being full of particularly good comedy, really, but this one does have a lot of comedy in it. Patrick Dempsey's Robert when he's on the train. This woman tells him, "You'll get on this. You're on this journey over and over and over and over again," and then pauses, "until you die," which made me laugh from the trailer. Patrick Dempsey as well, in the fairy tale land, Robert is not the lawyer who's quite very sensible. No, he is basically what Edward is. Basically, he's a prince that can't quite get things right, but yeah. So yes, and it's to do with it's a bit of a weird plot, a wishing one, and to do with a clock, which when the clock goes, Giselle's eyes turn. She keeps flicking between evil and good. It's a bit of a strange plot, I will admit. The only thing that annoys me a bit is, I do wish it wasn't a wishing one. I just wish it was just literally a wand, really, because otherwise it gets every time Giselle uses the wand, it's always "I wish," all the time. It just gets a bit annoying for me. I know, but they could just not say it for just. You don't have to say it. Well, maybe you do have to say it because otherwise it doesn't work. But yeah, that slightly annoyed me a bit, but I massively enjoyed it. And so when this town, Malvina, turns into an actual queen, and Giselle, they have a duel, so I'm just sort of going to go in moments, so it might be a bit patchy, this review. Morgan gets pushed down the well, and she ends up in Andalasia, but because of all the magic that Giselle is using, Andalasia is sort of growing in, merging with the real Monroeville fairy tale land. It's a bit complicated, I will admit, and I managed to get my head around that. But otherwise, all the magic's been taken away from Andalasia, so everything Andalasia will die, effectively, if they don't stop. So, they get Giselle's memory tree, which is just a tree of her, all of her memories, basically, and they get that to Giselle. She then rips the tree. Oh no, sorry. Well, I'll just go back into. So Malvina ends up turning her two henchwomen, sidekicks, Ruby and what's the other person's name? I can't remember. But they get turned into toads. They do. And what's interesting is Malvina isn't Giselle is actually the most powerful because she uses the wishing wand. So Malvina can use magic from her hands, but is nowhere near powerful. And I thought it was actually very interesting that Giselle was using. In their duel, that she was using the wand and her hand to blast magic. I thought that she would just be using the wand, like Harry Potter and Voldemort. But the fact that she actually used the wand and her hand in the battle, I thought was very interesting. And I honestly thought Giselle was going to... Well, I knew that the spell would be, broken, things turn back to normal. But I thought temporarily in this world we'd have Giselle turning Melvin into a toad. And to be honest, I would have quite liked that, because she should have been the main villain, really. And to be honest, it was a little bit predictable for Giselle to sort of break the spell. Oh, well, no, actually, she didn't break the spell, because she ended up dying temporarily, because she's part of Andalasia. And so that's why Giselle, can't survive. But eventually everything gets turned back, and Malvina is not the queen, and Giselle they're all back to normal, basically. And Morgan is sort of a bit of a grumpy teenager, so she clashes with Giselle quite a bit, which is quite interesting to see her. And she actually calls Giselle a wicked stepmother. Well, this is before the spell, so she just sort of insults and quite hurts Giselle, being that, and that's what actually triggers her to cause the spell, because she thinks that everything will be fairy tale life and everything will be perfect, and yes, it'll be all sorted out. But no, that's not the case. Yes, there's a couple of Easter eggs. I liked that the bakery is called Mary Poppins Out. It's quite a tongue. It's quite a mouthy name. There's references to Be Our Guest, of course, which Alan Menken, who wrote the music to Enchanted, Disenchanted, wrote that, not with Stephen Schwartz, but with the late Howard Ashman. So I thought that was a nice touch, but also including that reference in there must be emotional for Alan. In case you don't know, Howard Ashman sadly died of AIDS and HIV. But in his short life, he managed to do so much. With Alan Menken, he wrote Little Shop of Horrors, the musical, which was made successfully into film. And together they wrote music to The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast. And Howard managed to write 3 songs that would be used in Disney's Aladdin as well. So it's astonishing to think what he has done in such a short life. And Beauty and the Beast has actually dedicated him to Howard, a man who gave a mermaid her soul, a mermaid her voice, and a beast his soul. We're forever grateful. And there's a great documentary I do recommend you check out called Howard on Disney Plus, all about him. And the way they describe seeing their floats on Disneyland saying, the Little Mermaid down the parade saying they made it. And Howard's talked to the Disney animators about how, full-on talk. I mean, this is not just a lyricist. He told them how the story and song go perfectly together, how to do it, and just absolutely amazing. Excuse me. And in that documentary, there's actually a recording session of the recording Be Our Guest with Angela Lansbury and Jerry Orbach, which brings me nicely to paying tribute to Dame Angela Lansbury, who passed away at the age of 97, I think. So definitely good innings and no shame, but there's no shame in getting that age. But very sad that we lost her. So Dame Angela Lansbury, well, I know her best for her role in Bedknobs and Broomsticks opposite David Thomas in the 1971 Disney musical film, which combines live action and animation. In fact, is often, it is maybe insulting this, but, there's a reason why Walt shelved it, because it was too similar like Mary Poppins. And it was, not only was David Tomlinson in it, Reginald Owen was, Bill Walsh, who wrote the script for Mary Poppins, Robert Stevenson, who directed Mary Poppins, directed Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Did I say the Sherman Brothers? I can't remember if I did, but yeah. So, plus the live action and animated segments combined, yes, it's very similar. So sort of like a poor person's Mary Poppins, in my view, but it's still a good film. Anyway, so she played Miss Price, the witch, opposite David Tomlinson's Mr. Brown, who is a magician, but not actually, doesn't do actual magic. He's like Paul Daniels, or Dynamo, or David Nixon, or I'm just trying to think of all magicians. No, I can't think of them, but never mind. So yeah, that makes an interesting change. And then, of course, she would voice Mrs. Potts in Disney's 1991 animated film Beauty and the Beast, where her performance of the title song is so beautiful, so wonderful, so touching. It really does bring me goosebumps, it does. Of course, people will tend to probably most think of Celine Dion and Peabo Bryson's version over the end credits. And while that is great, well, I'm not keen on Celine Dion myself, Dame Angela's version is just absolutely perfection. Excuse me. So yes, thank you, Dame Angela, for the music, the memories, and, you know, the great thing about you is your work will live on. Even though you're not here, you will be remembered by your work. I mean, Murder, She Wrote, in musicals as well as Mame, which We Need a Little Christmas is from the Jerry Herman musical, and Sweeney Todd as well, Stephen Sondheim's musical. So yeah, done absolutely lots. Right, and the Tube Mix Sound reviews, ABBA Voyage, like I said, is I'm going to try and get it up there for next week, next weekend. So yeah, next Saturday. That's the aim. I don't quite know what happened with the sound. It's really baffling to me. But I'm going to re-record it and we'll see what happens. And if I do, kick off the first album review. If not, I'll come up with a thing. Oh, and if you're wondering why there's no title, there's just hashtags. That's because Instagram was playing up a bit. It didn't allow me to add a title, which was very weird. And I didn't put in my stories because this was a very last minute sort of video. I wanted to be a substitute, really, for, not being able to bring the episode of Two Mixed Down Reviews to you today. Right, I think that's the end of this Instagram Live, so thank you for watching it. Would I watch Disenchanted again? Yes, I think I would. I think it's the only princess film I would watch because it takes the mick out of itself and doesn't take itself too seriously. And Amy Adams is so good, doing both the goods, the sweet Giselle, but also the evil stuff. I've never ever seen her play a villain. Although, to be fair, I've only seen her in Night of the Museum 2, The Muppets with Jason Segel sequel. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name. The original Enchanted and Disenchanted. Yeah, that's all I've seen her in. So maybe she has played a villain. I've no idea. I'm a bit baffled why she puts on a British accent for the wicked stepmother, because that's just seems a bit bizarre to me. I mean, the Brothers Grimm were German, I think. Disney's Lady Tremaine from Cinderella doesn't have a British accent, so that seems a little strange to me. But never mind, it's a minor thing. And it'd be great to know what you think of Disenchanted in the comments below. How would you rate it? The critics didn't. A lot of critics didn't like it, but actually I thought, it was a good film. I'd actually have preferred it without the songs, I think. But it's a good film. All right, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.